Hi guys, Andy here. There's been a lot of talk about the size of the new Nexus devices, so I thought I'd do just a short brief video kind of giving you an idea of how big they are, I suppose, really, because they are, I think, surprisingly big to some people. On the left here we have the Nexus, my brother's Nexus 5X, and on the right my very own Nexus 6P. Also, if I can show you that waiting in the wings, I have my Nexus 5, Moto G 3rd Gen, OnePlus 2, my Nexus 6 and the Note 5. So we're just going to have a sort of a quick look at how they all compare really. Let's start with the 5X. So quite a lot of people, well, some people aren't fans of the big bulky sort of phablet type device. And I think what can be quite surprising actually is how big the 5X is. So I guess that doesn't look too bad at that point. If we go with the Moto G 3rd Gen, we put it on top, we put them screen to screen. Width wise they're almost the same, and height wise actually there's only a few millimeters in it, but a lot of people will be coming from the Nexus 5. We've put them screen to screen. Again, there's only a millimeter or two on the width, but the 5X is definitely is bigger. And if you look at the top, though, I mean that's almost a whole finger, maybe a little finger, not quite. But that's a good 7, 8, 9 millimeters. I'm sure you can look the actual specs up to get the final result. But what surprised me was when I brought in my Note 5, put the 5X on it, it's not that, the gap there is smaller than it was to the 5, so it's closer to the Note 5 size than the Nexus 5, so that surprised me a little bit. I think it's still just about operable by one hand, and obviously you struggle to get up to the top unless you adjust your grip. It's nicely rounded, I think, so I don't think it's an issue of that it will be uncomfortable in the hand, but I just think you need to be aware, because a lot of people were looking, they weren't happy when the Nexus 6 came out because it was so big, so they were waiting for the next smaller sized device, and I think you just need to be aware it is that little bit bigger. I think at the same time you'll get used to it quite quickly. If you speak to most people that, you know, probably at one point they said, oh, I don't want a device that big, I can't cope with a device that big, and actually then they've taken the plunge, and within a week or two they're saying very different things, and actually you go from a bigger device back to a smaller one and it feels just too small, so you do get used to the size. So then we bring in the 6P. Now let's start off with the Nexus 6. So they don't look drastically different there. Having said that, the Nexus 6 is like the biggest device ever. If we put them on top of each other, actually the 6P's got a little bit more height. Don't know when I can keep them aligned and then turn it. So it does have only a couple of millimeters, but it is a couple of millimeters thinner. If I can hold, yep, there you go, and if you can see that. Now the 6 was nicely rounded, but it also was quite chunky, quite thick, almost a centimetre thick if I remember correctly. Whereas the 6P is still nicely rounded, but not all the way across, just at the edges. And the extra, or the few less millimetre, I feel does make it fit in the hand that little bit better. But we do go down from like basically a 6-inch screen to a 5.7-inch screen for, well, you've got bigger bezels top and bottom. You know, not even close in many ways. Let's then bring in the Note 5. Now these are the two devices I'll be trying to choose between. And again, we can see quite a bit of height at the top. Let's put them screen to screen. If I can get them roughly. So even though we've just seen that the bit of hair there. We've just seen that 6P is thinner than the Nexus 6, and actually the Note 5 just that little bit thinner once again, and definitely shorter than the 6P. So, I mean, yeah, I know you're not going to buy the Nexus 6P if you don't like big devices, I guess. But again, it's just want to be clear how big this device is. Let's bring in the smallest device that I've got here now, the Nexus 5. I mean, look at the difference there. So if you were a Nexus 5 owner wondering, should you upgrade, you just need to be aware of that. It's pretty mammoth size difference. The 6P, one of the longest phones I think I've owned. I mean, I don't have any problems with pockets. It fits fine in pockets. I do have a belt case. I like to use belt cases. And it only just fits in there because of the height. If we compare the 5X and the 6P, I suppose, just so you can see. That's I mean, that's a reasonably substantial difference. Not like what we saw with the 5. Kind of the evolution and progression of Nexus devices in some ways, if we don't worry about the mammoth Nexus 6, which dwarfs them all. So there you go. Like I said, just a quick video. I want you to be sure that you understand the sizes and the size differences of these new Nexus devices. Of course, I'm working on a review of the 6P. I have other videos on the Nexus devices. Do check them out. Subscribe if you haven't. Drop me any questions down below, and I'll catch you all again soon.